for more with Maya. Dare to be more.
Welcome, it's the Made for More show, and my name is Maya. It's such a delight to have you join us every week as we bring you interesting stories of passionate individuals who are doing amazing things and touching the world with the gifts and talents God put in them. You are made for more. Today, I bring you another exciting guest who is living her life knowing that she truly was made for more. We continue our series on career where we showcase amazing individuals who have discovered career as a platform for impact, influence, and income. And our guest today is just a perfect example of what I've just said above. I'm so glad she's here today. She's someone I hold in very high esteem, and I'm glad that she made our time to join us. Join me as I welcome today our guest, Honorable Justice Mabel T. Segun-Bello.
Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome Honorable Justice Mabel T. Segun-Bello.
You're welcome, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a big pleasure. It's a big pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You're such an inspiration for many, many young people out there. And we're so glad that we can hear your story firsthand from you
Yeah.
today. Yeah. So first I'd like to ask, today you're in the judiciary, but what was as a child, what did you want to become?
That's an interesting question, actually. Because I've heard a lot of people, always say things like, I wanted to be this, and then eventually this found me. But my own story is different.
Hmm.
Always, always wanted to be a judge.
Really?
Yes,
Aha.
always wanted to be a judge.
Interesting.
And that illumination came to me while I was in secondary school. Um, I wanted to be a lawyer at first. And then we had this career day where, you know, high profile women came to speak with us. Then I was in an all girls school. And there was this chief magistrate who came, beautiful, black, beautiful. She's late now, unfortunately. And she came to speak to us. And she told us of how she grew from the bottom. And now she's a chief magistrate. And that was a big deal for me. I was so inspired. So I said, okay. I asked the question. So how do I become a magistrate? She said, first become a lawyer. Then you become a magistrate. And that's not where it stops. You can become a judge. And then become a justice of the Court of Appeal. And ultimately get to the Supreme Court. Wow. That was a redefining moment for me. So it put structure to my desire of wanting to be a lawyer and, helping me to chart that pathway of how to attain the ultimate of proper positioning in the judiciary. So it's been a journey of intentionality from time being.
It's really, really interesting. The clarity, and that momentum, that aha moment. Wow, that's
Absolutely.
amazing. I mean, let's talk about your educational background. You did school, university, and then after that, what did you do? How did you get into work? Let's hear a bit about that.
Okay, so if we're starting with the university, I started with University of Ilorin, where I had my, bachelor's in law, my LLB, and then law school, which was in Abuja, and of course my NYSC. I started to work with Elu Fagbemi, SAN, who is now the current Attorney General of the Federation. So that's where I cut my legal teeth. That was the foundation for my, actual judicial development. Because as I came in, and the first encounter I had with me, he said, I think you'll be best in the judiciary. Yes, he said, I think you'll be best on the bench. And so I asked him, I said, why? He said, your mien. That was the first time I heard the word mien. That's MIEN.
Yeah.
He said, your mien, your comportment as a young lady. I was just serving. Your comportment as a young lady and your choice of words. So he said, you have this remarkable grammatical construction that, that they found admirable at that time. So he said that would be so nice on the bench. And I found it. I said, yes, it's my desire. So he said, put your head down and learn. Your bedrock is very important. If you miss the foundation, only God knows what you'll be able to do with a faulty foundation. And that for me was a remarkable chatting.
Well, so you've already mentioned like two people who I'm sure are part of the role models you have. Are there any other? Can you tell us one or two other people who inspired you on this journey to where you are today?
Oh, okay. So I can remember my literature teacher in the um, in the secondary school, Mr. Salau. I don't know whether he's still alive or not. But Mr. Salau always called me and would sit me down, like he will call all the students as well, and he will say at that time, that okay, so you are reading too much of Shakespeare, so you're constructing your language in a manner that makes for being impressive, like you want to make an impression, than actually expressing yourself. So you must prioritize expression over impression. It didn't make so much sense because I took so much pleasure in throwing out around big words, which are absolutely unnecessary. It's not a display of skillfulness or dexterity. It's actually an unnecessary play on words at that time for that age. So I remember him, and it still runs in my mind sometimes. So sometimes I tone it down so that people that you're talking with, you can truly be expressive over being just actually impressive. So that's one of them. In my university days, I had one of our very young lecturers then who went on to becoming um, professor, a senior advocate, and a vice chancellor. Unfortunately, we lost him last year. Yeah, it was quite inspirational in the sense that nothing stopped him. So young, so well accomplished, and so skillful. It was just a pity that, at the prime, he was cut off. One of the pains I think I went through last year, that one of the greatest pains that lecturer of mine, former lecturer of mine, actually died. So it was such an inspiration to all of us. He started teaching us when he was in his 20s.
Wow.
Yes, and we watched him grow. Senior lecturer, became dean, became a professor, became a senior advocate, became a vice chancellor. So that's one other person that truly inspired me.
I'd like to know what was growing up like. Did you have all the parental support for your choice of career? Were there people who felt it's not for ladies? Or I just anything about your childhood that still led you on this journey or further strengthened your conviction to take this path?
Okay, so I had educationists for parents. And you and I can, of course, know what that means. So academics was a big one and a huge one for them. They played significant emphasis on academic success and journeying that uh, pathway of academic attainment and academic achievement. So my father was an army officer, but in the education corps. So my mom was a teacher, and I think she almost rose to become a vice principal. So they were heavy on academics. We couldn't play with it at all. But I remember that because of the austerity, in terms of finances that attended to our lives at that time, I remember my father telling me, "Can't you just do a simple course instead of law? How would we pay for law school? I hear law is, how would we buy the books? But I told him, I said, I'll pull through. If God gave it to me, He will take me through it. The source of a thing is its sustenance. So if He's the source of it, He will sustain me." So he said, "Okay, so how are we going to buy books?" I said, "For starters, I will borrow." I mean, the indignity of borrowing was not a problem for me at all. And I did borrow a couple of times. But I also deployed the use of the library a lot more of the times, So I didn't, if I had discouragement on my way to becoming a lawyer, I'm sure I had, but I didn't see them because I was too motivated. So I didn't notice them. It was only that one because my father at that time was prime in my affection. Yes.
And that's to say to somebody listening that the fact that you have challenges doesn't mean that the goal is not attainable. It's just one of the stories, the things you meet on your path and your journey to success. Now, looking back now, I mean, how do you feel? You've come this far. I mean, several awards, you're sitting there and doing your thing. Looking back, how do you feel? You feel like, yeah, dream come true. I know there's still a lot to aspire to, but today and now, how do you feel?
In all honesty, I feel deeply grateful. So it's more of a gratitude feeling that I have than a feeling of accomplishment. It's not that I consider myself of no repute, even though we are truly of no repute, in the grand scheme of things. But I am deeply grateful for where I am now for one sole reason. Where I'm coming from is nothing that should have sponsored this reality. My background is not anything that is very congenial of this kind of present outcome that I'm having in my life. So people like me, or rather people who had gone through what I had gone through in time past, will probably live an average life, and justifiably so, because the limitations were many, the austerity was huge, the constraints, restraints, the stereotypes, so they were all there. The beautiful thing is that I chose not to see some. Some got to me, and I think I just bounced them off and, maintained focus. Maintained focus. Absolutely.
Interesting. I want to know, looking back at your career so far, what skills would you say you've built on the job or are required for someone who wants to get into the judiciary and stay there and excel at his or her job? So, what professional skills, personality skills, character skills are required to not just get in there, but stay there and do a good job?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the personal skills. So if this is your career pathway, then you have to be studious. If this is your career pathway, then you have to be growth conscious. You need a growth mindset. and not a fixed mindset. Your mindset must be such that accommodates growth, such that you can test, all that is being thrown at you from the world, the society, being able to question it deeply and draw out significant meaning that can, at each point in time, raise you high to a better pedestal in life. So that ability to question things, which I have, crafted in recent time to mean intentional curiosity. Intentional curiosity. So if you do not have intentional curiosity, you may not go far. You will achieve or you will attain, but you will not expand and enlarge. You will go forward, but you are likely not going to go upward if you do not intentionally question things and intentionally test things. And it is from testing things that, superiority of existence, usually emerges. So, yeah, that's one personal skill that you must develop. If it is a skill, you can learn it.
That's true.
If it's a skill, it's learnable. Then professional skill as a uh, as a magistrate, I'll use my foibles and my faults of time past to, educate and instruct at the moment. So I think you need mostly emotional intelligence to sit at that pedestal, either as a magistrate or as a judge. So I think at the initial stage of my career, I used to lose it in court. Simply because it was obvious to me this person is trying to buy time. How is justice going to be served if you're trying to put in these tactics and these delays? And so, I mean, it usually got to me. Now it doesn't. Why? Because emotionally, I have imputed a measure of intelligence into that paradigm of emotions. And I've also come into the consciousness of the use of power, not just the carriage of power. So there's a use of power, there's a carriage of power. And if you do not learn this, you will appear so irrational and unrelatable on the bench, which was one of the at the very early stage of my career journey, one of the very few things. So they'll say, yes, what is integrity and dignity and sincerity without somebody who is calm and able to, listen to you properly without you, just projecting our emotions. You understand? So if this is your pathway, emotional intelligence is a skill you need to get fast. Yes. And so we're on that journey, and to a large extent, I think have been able to pull that, and I even also teach it. Yeah.
So we'll go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll take it up from here. Don't go away. I want to take you on a journey, an inspiring journey, a motivational journey, a journey that helps you see through the lives of others who are walking this path. Men and women from different walks of life, different tribes, different races, but one thing they have in common, they have answered the call to be more, who's stepping into life courageously and living their dreams. And that is my dream for you. And I intend to inspire you, motivate you, to lend you to be all that you were born to be. Welcome back. Glad you could join us. We still have our guest here sharing her experiences, her journey, and the lessons she's learned so far with us. Yes, ma'am. We're talking about the skills you have learned on your journey so far. So,
Okay, yes. So I've talked about the professional skills that I needed. And another one is courage. Yes.
I can imagine.
To do the right thing, to truly do the right thing, you need courage. And it is also what I call intentional courage. So I always project that intentional curiosity and intentional courage as skills that are necessary. We all know the meaning of courage, which is, it's not the absence of fear, but it is in being afraid and going on. Yes. So it is when courage is practiced over time that it loops itself into confidence. So there is no confidence without courage. So yeah, courage is extremely needed, required, and necessary if you're going to take the pathway of the judiciary. And it's important to begin to um, express it and project it now for the young ones, so that when they get in there, they are not grappling and grappling for straws in the dark. They know you have to be courageous. If you don't have courage, if you've not learnt it, get it. If you can't get it, don't get in. Yes,
Very critical, right?
you will be faced with decisions that requires courage. Decisions that if you are not courageous, you'll be booted out. If you are not courageous, you'll be wounded. Yeah, you have to be very courageous. If I can use a personal example, when I was the director of oaths in the FCT Judiciary, and when I got in, my core mandate is to help widen and recover back, or rather redeem the image of the FCT judiciary with respect to affidavit racketeering and corruption, which was so rife and was given the judiciary all over anyway a very, very bad, tarnished name. So you may never have a case in your life, but it is unlikely that you will not deploy the use of an affidavit at one time in your life. If you're big enough, you will need an affidavit one day. If you never need it, then you're very small on the low planes of life. At sometimes the life courses will require that, you may misplace something. You need an affidavit to even get a police report. So everything in life, almost one thing or the other requires. So, and largely they were 99% fake. So I remember when I decided that I was going to put in the digital infrastructure, they came to tell me and said, look, please drop this your private sector toga. You're in the public sector. People don't innovate here. If you do, you will wake up one day, your legs will be swollen, you won't even be able to move, not to talk of remembering that you want to make a difference. And that's where the place of spiritual intelligence comes in. That spiritual awareness and gaining stature in the spirit, such that, you are well aligned with the head of principalities. So if you're aligned with the head of principalities, all principalities will take a bow, because alignment is key to the use of authority. If you align with the person who has power, then you can take authority and use it. Do you get my point? So someone comes in, wants to bully you, then there's this big man behind you, and you run into him, and you tell the bully, look, in him I live, in him I move, in him I have my being. I mean, it's practical reality. I'm moving in him. It's like a pregnant woman carrying a child. The child is in her. In her, she moves. In her, the baby breathes. In her, the baby feeds. In her, the baby has her being. So if you want to touch the baby, you probably need to touch the woman. If you want to wound the baby, you can't do that without wounding the woman. She's not going to let you. So that awareness is very key, especially in bringing on innovations in the public service. For me, that was it. And, those are skills generally that have helped me. I'm sure there are more. Dignity is one of them. Integrity is one of them. And those ones are rooted in two things: track record and legacy. If you're legacy conscious, then you'll be mindful of dignity and integrity. So everywhere you are, as you're moving from there, you're leaving a legacy. Legacy is not inheritance. Inheritance is what people get when you are dead. Legacy is what people get even while you are alive. So I left the FCT judiciary with a legacy of putting a digital infrastructure in place that, significantly eroded that value chain of corruption that was so endemic and looked impossible. That's legacy. I'm still alive. I'm seeing it.
It's working.
And it's working. So legacy consciousness will make it possible for you to live in dignity and integrity. Live the life of dignity and integrity. If you're legacy conscious. If you're not, it will be difficult.
That's true.
Because the why of a man is the reason why he holds on. When your why is not strong enough, giving up becomes an easy option. So legacy consciousness is, I'm big on it. Big on it. When I exit the space, what would I leave behind? While I'm in that space, what am I doing significantly to impact the system and build the wall in front of me? In the days of Nehemiah, I'm sorry if I'm not supposed to be spiritual.
Please go on. It's who you are. Go ahead.
In the days of Nehemiah, every man had to build the wall before him. And there are walls before us at all times. That corrupt value chain of the affidavit at that time was a wall before me. No other wall. So you build the wall, and that is a critical component of nation building. So when we're talking about nation building, it's not about lip service. It's about looking at your space. You look at your space. What wall is actually before me? How can I build it? Intentional curiosity. What do I need? When you figure all of that out, the world will notice. And then the government will ask you, what do you need for us to help you? So the role of the government, we keep missing it and mixing it. So we think, why are they not doing this? No, that's not their role. Their role is when you get it, and they can see that you got it. They will ask you, what do you need? That's what they asked me. What do you need? This is what I need. I need training for staff. Okay, we'll give it to you. I'm talking about a matter of days.
Wow.
So all this, nothing ever works. It's never in the budget. It's because you've not gotten it right. You start building that wall, and the world is seeing that you have started building that wall. Before I put the digital infrastructure there, I first did the analog rearrangement that produced significant results for them to see, that produced visible results that they could see, they could feel. I remember one of those few weeks when I walked into the CJ's office and he saw me and he came to me and he said, I never knew you could do, I didn't even think you would do this. Oh, thank you. Well done. How do we help you? That's the question of government. That's the question of government. How do we very high plenty ways, and we need this, we need that. Then they will answer you because results are speaking.
Yes.
That's the key component of nation building. It's not by lip service. It's not by holding seminars. It's not by symposium. It's not by organizing trainings. Nation building is practical. You are walking past the paper. Build that wall. So, legacy consciousness. I'm sorry I took you off the path. Pardon me.
No, it's absolutely fine because the idea was to get you to. When you see a person who's passionate, you just flow. They don't need to be triggered. This is the life she's just speaking from her life, and it's so interesting. She said, and one of what she kept in was intentionality, and that's why the idea behind the show is, first of all, when you know there's more to me. I'm here for an assignment. I'm here for a reason. And I found out, so what am I supposed to say? There's a war before each and every one in different sectors. Perhaps in judiciary, yours could be in the media, in medicine, in different spheres of life.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're going to do, showcase people who are doing to show you that it is possible. And if they haven't, they have gone ahead. So you should take it up the journey. And to never forget, you are made for man. Once again, I'm glad you're here, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here too.
Please make welcome Honorable Justice Mabel T. Segun-Bello.
Great. So I would like to know, can you share with us some of the highlights of your career in judiciary so far?
So memorable moments, I think generally I have two in terms of career spark. Um, the very day we launched the first ever digital affidavit registry management system, that for me was a point of joy. A, yes, real gratitude. I mean, there are a few times that I've been so happy and then went into tears. Very few. I mean, emotions are not really my forte. So, yeah, when it comes to that. But oh my God, that day
Mm.
that we launched it, we had so many people in attendance. So many. The hall was filled to the brim.
Mm.
You know, the CJ was in attendance, Supreme Court Justice was in attendance, the Deputy Governor of CBN then, Deputy Governor Operations was in attendance, the Grand Cadi was in attendance, National Industrial Court President sent a representative to, grace the occasion. We had so many people from the FCT. I mean, just to come and see that one thing we're doing, it was a high point for me. I was really, really happy, deeply grateful. I was so filled with joy. Then the next one for me was just a few days after,
Okay.
because we launched on the 31st of March,
What year was this?
2021 or 2022. I think so, 2022 or thereabout.
Mm.
Yeah, thereabout. And then a few days afterwards, the announcement was made that I'll be sworn in as a judge on the 20th of April. Okay, so that's not the catch. Being sworn in is not the catch. It's the fact that I will be sworn in on my birthday.
Wow, birthday present.
Yes, that was a divine, heavenly birthday gift. So I remember on the morning of my swearing in, I got a call from Saudi Arabia. Yes, because on the internet, um, a few friends had posted. I won't say a few. It was quite. At least that day, we broke that internet a bit, a little.
The 2 in 1 celebration.
A little. So someone now got called from Saudi Arabia, and he said, since the announcement, since he heard that I will be sworn in on my birthday, he did a research to find out if there has ever been any judge in the world sworn in on their birthday. Birthdays are very critical in the judicial system because you exit on your birthday.
Mm-hmm.
You will exit on your birthday, but it's very unlikely that you will gain entrance on your birthday. So those days now, I mean those 2 days, the day that I came in and the day that I will exit to the glory of God, will be the same thing.
Wow.
So 3 significant days in my life.
Aww.
And God just gives me, immediately after that, when I needed all the media stability and all of that, God brought an EA into my life who also has the birthday 20th of April.
Wow. This cannot be coincidence.
Look at her.
Wow.
Yeah, so at that time I needed some form of structure into what I was doing, and the generation that was listening to me. I needed someone of that generation to provide critical guidance. So herself, listen to the catch, herself and my younger sister, the last of my siblings, pulled together to assist me. Guess what is the date, the birthday of that my younger sister? 20th of April.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So it's so key for me.
Wow. I can imagine you guys have a mega party on that day. I should come visit you.
Please. She has already planned the program.
Wow,
that we were going to have on that day. So it's it looked quite I won't say philosophical but prophetic. in some sense, but
Yes.
however prophetic it was, it required work, it required strategy, it required planning, it required goal setting, and everything it required was been given to it, in spite of the prophetic outlook that he has. So
Mm.
yes, I have different expressions of myself.
Yes, talking about different expressions, that's the next question. You do a lot. First, you're an author, you have, right? And then you're a assistant speaker, a facilitator. You do many things. You have a passion for giving back and mentorship. How did that start? And then what inspires you to do all of this? I mean, you have a fantastic job. You could just stay and be happy. So why do you do all of this?
Okay, so it's part of being conscious of the walls before you, because number one, um, hunger is not the motivating factor. I'm not looking for food on that platform. If there's anything, I sow back often. Often I sow back into that. Whatever you call it,
Mm.
whatever name you give it, I always sow back to that platform. You understand? May not be a person in that platform, but maybe somebody that also came. I will always sow back. So it can't be lack and want
Yes.
that is the driver of my uh, executing on that platform.
Mm.
Certainly not. However, it is not also the desire for visibility.
Mm.
Yeah, because you can being to the glory of God, a federal judge is
Enough.
sufficient
Global.
visibility on its
Yes.
own. So, all through my years, especially as God was taking us through the path of attainment and through the path of our voice gaining traction, a lot more younger people were gravitating towards me and asking for the way, some in tears, some in just mere curiosity, some in need, you know. And this same question always comes: please, can you be my mentor? What can I do to earn, the right for you to mentor me? And each time I get that, it breaks my heart because I have not intentionally carved out time to service that part of my life where that wall is built. You get the point?
Mm.
So I was doing a lot of facilitating. People think I just started speaking. I think that I've been speaking for over 10 years.
Mm.
So there are pictures that attest to that. I I trained for British Council. I had a contract at that time with them for ROLAC.
Mm.
Yeah, rule of law. So I trained for them. I've trained for them at several locations. Trained at UNICEF programs.
Mm.
Yes, I remember the first time I trained for UNICEF. I think it was at Nasarawa or so. And one of the men there stood up and said, "Please, this is the kind of training we have been talking about. Where the slides are not dull and dead, where the slides have life, where the speaker has life. Please, ma, can we keep seeing more of you? So no structure. That's what I was talking about. No structure around what I was doing. No system developed to even fit into that structure. So I was just freelancing. Anything that will be of significance in life cannot be freelanced.
Mm.
Cannot be freelanced. You won't help. You might help some people, but you won't help too much people.
That's true.
You won't be able to. You won't make that mark that can make people look back and say, thank God, it was because I met this person, or because I heard this person say this, or because this person showed me, or because this person appeared and inspired me, that I got to this point.
Mm.
That for me is a passion. That for me is a key driver. you know. So I know I needed to, at that time, I knew I needed to build key priority responses
Mhm.
to all of that. So I started growing. Um, I grew so well under the umbrella of Godney, truthfully.
Mm.
That's Mrs. Linus Okori and her husband,
Mhm.
Mrs. Nkiru
Yeah,
Okori
Linus.
and Linus Okori.
Yes.
So when nobody would touch us with a 1 yard pole, they actually embraced. So theirs was more like a refining grounds for me. I honed my skill, I refined my skill using their platform. Yes, so those multiple expressions of myself, I started being intentional about them. I started putting purpose to them, and then structure, system, all of that started developing, and voila, it became visible. So, to anybody who is listening, one of the things that sponsors visibility is developing systems and fitting it into structures and prioritizing.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. Amazing. And how do you merge all of that with your schedules? So, I mean, work is busy. This also takes a lot around. So, how do you manage them?
So, I guess you're asking the question of time.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I must quickly say this, and I say to a lot of young ones a lot of times. Time is what, you know, let me say it this way so that I don't sound too brash. Mm. Time is actually what you make of it. I hope it's not a real life story, maybe it's a fable that I heard some time ago of a man who was encouraged to take spiritual activities serious. And he said, I have no time. I have no time. I truly, he didn't have the time until he had cancer.
Mm.
So he now had time for doctor appointment, radiation appointment, spiritual direction appointment. But he said he didn't have time. You see, time is what we make of it. So a lot of wastage of time. That's why I said I didn't want to sound rash. You know, there's a lot of wastage of time, unintentional wastage of time, and we don't live daily. Oh. I hope you know we die daily.
Mm.
We are not living daily. We are dying daily because yesterday you can't get back. If God is going to give you yesterday back, He will have to redeem the time by granting you the grace of speed and favor.
Mm.
If those two graces are not at work in your life, you won't redeem time. So once time is lost, it's lost until a force comes in redemption of it. And it's not all the time that redemption is possible. Sometimes when it's gone, it's gone. When I was 3 years old, I can't take back that time. You get the point now. So people have to live in the clear awareness of it. Time, our most successful people are very, very conscious of it. Time, as fleeting as it is the building block of life, is the building block of success. So for every, and if you do not catalog it, if you do not catalog activities, you are going to be swept away and you will end up in overwhelm. So this morning, I already told you that I was doing a presentation for some executives and CEOs. And one of the things I was talking about, the topic I spoke about today was redeeming productivity. So redeeming it from what? Redeeming it from the wrong categorization and definition of productivity. The wrong definition of productivity tells us you have to do more to become more. But to become more in our kingdom, you have to abide in Him to bear fruit, productivity. So the primary focus is in the abiding. Then you are taught what to do. Then you will bear fruit. So productivity for us is not the same for everybody. I don't know if I really don't want to get too spiritual. Please pardon me. I don't know why it keeps coming out. Please pardon me. Please.
Somebody needs to hear it. that's why it keeps coming out.
Yeah. So time is what you make of it. That's it. That's all. So prioritize. That's the first key. Prioritize your goals. That is assuming that you have goals. Prioritize those goals and delegate where there's necessity for delegation and outsource, please. We don't go to the market anymore. There was a time I was going to the market. There was a time, even as a magistrate, I would carry the bowl of beans and go and grind it. Like a big, I would take it, put it in the car, go and grind it myself. Nah. Not because I'm bigger than it, but because there are more useful things to do that can impact my world. I'll outsource it. Okay, so there's still some cookings I need to do. I don't do all the cooking. So you can prep for me and then I come and mix it up. As I mix and nine, you go chop them. And I'm good at that anyway. So yeah, you have to prioritize. I prioritize health. I prioritize children. I prioritize friendship in marriage because it's not about being married. It's about being friends with one another. I have discovered a lot of people can't even sit down to talk without tension. So do we also have tension sometimes? We do. I mean, we need to be sincere and be honest with one. Yeah, because we're humans, there will be that point of tension. The idea is to, for lots of a better word to say, um, structure in exit plans. You understand? So one of our own exit plans is that two of us cannot get angry at the same time. We intentionally crafted that one out. So once you have a construct of tension, whoever first raised the issue has the right of anger.
The other person waits first.
The other person waits first. So after that person has finished and it has cooled off, then you can express yourself. Even though sometimes you can keep malice for like some hours before you do that. But you see, the idea is minimize more of negativity. They will come. I mean, we can't be. I mean, we are humans, so there will be flashpoints of conflict, unavoidable misunderstanding, because we're humans, and perception also matters.
True.
How you perceive things sometimes can be different from how I perceive things. But I have developed one skill now. It's so helpful. It's called listening skills. It's just listening, and it has helped. I now discover that when you listen a lot, you become so well respected. So when I'm listening, you see the tone changing and changing and changing to a lot of respect. So the idea is there are games of life.
Yeah.
Marriage is one of them. So that game is not a finite game, it's an infinite game. So the rules have to keep changing because the goal is to be in there for a long time.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the finite games like football, the rules can change. The goalposts can change. The time can change. And you cannot be in there forever. Those are finite games. And people in leadership and marriage ought to understand that. Marriage is an infinite game. The idea is whatever it is you can do to sustain, your being there and being there correctly, being there to serve your mission, being there to also serve your ministry. It's also a ministry because the primary role of marriage is to raise godly children. Raise godly children. So when marriages disintegrate, children see it, they pick it, and then they lose trust in whatever values you're trying to.
Made for more with Maya. Dare to be more.
There are planes of life that you attain to, you will see bananas. And if you get carried away with the bright yellow outlook of the bananas, you will not know when you will step on the banana peels. And that's when people slip and fall. So these are the voices that tells you, you see that thing you see looking bright and yellow, that's a potential banana peel.
don't step on it. See this person who stepped on it. Can you see his life? Don't step on it. Those are directions in life. So you must be humble enough. It's also the intentional humility that is needed to, you know, submit yourself. I'm big on honor. I'm big on humility. Very big on honor. Very big on humility. I mean, you can be my mate and carry a result that will make me honor you deeply. You can be younger than me and carry a result or wear a result that I know, you know, is bigger than your age. I will honor it and tap into it. So yeah, that's how it is.
Interesting. Interesting. So we've learned so many things today. So many. And then my final question to you. Have you had people tell you, look, you're too much. You're aspiring for too much. You're too ambitious. I mean, you're a female. Take it easy. Slow down. Have you heard that? And how have you handled them? How have they shaped you into who you are
Okay, so
today?
those have been very mild words. I hope those were the words. I really, really hope those were the words I heard. I heard worse words. I hate you. Somebody should tell her that I hate her. Not everybody in life can like her. Why are you everywhere? Is it your voice that do? They're on their journey and I'm on mine.
Mm.
So I focus on my journey. They probably want me to focus on theirs. And then you must also understand that your excellence will speak to their mediocrity.
Mm.
Not only will it speak to it, it will challenge it and reveal it. If they have not grown enough to be able to bear it, then they will react the wrong way. So, what's your role? Your role is actually to be empathetic. Empathetic towards them. You know what they're going through. You know the driver of it is envy, jealousy. And so it's not really that they hate you, it's just that they don't know how best to express, that which they feel, which is a result, you know, which is a result of their not taking their growth seriously, their transformation. So the idea is once you see somebody who has taken the time and paid the price that you cannot see, they begin to tear that person down, thinking that's the only available option, or there's a better option. Honor it, defer to it, ask questions. I always ask questions. I met a 25-year-old. I mean, if you compare my my years with that of a 25-year-old, 24-year-old some days back, you know that I'm well over 20 years, I mean, older than this person. And we met at the protocol lounge or the VIP lounge, and I saw in her a result that a 25-year-old should not carry. No. The results of men? No. They are the fruits of a seed that is being sown. So I sat down and I asked her, how did you attain this? You will be shocked. So willing to dispense knowledge. What? I said, are you really 25? He said, yes, I'm not even 25 yet.
Wow.
So pretty, so beautiful. I said, so why you not going for pageant? People like tall, pretty. She said, am I looking for visibility or looking for productivity?
Wisdom.
I said, what kind of a girl is this? I said, will you be my friend?
Can you imagine?
He said, no, mama, you are daughter, which daughter? Come and be my friend. The wisdom you carry is too much to be a daughter. Of course, there were some things I spoke into. You see, that's how you will know highly successful people. She also had questions. I mean, if you get to this point, then there are some things you also know. Mama, how do we do this? Okay, so marriage, what are the things I should consider? Okay, so these are the challenges I'm having. Can I ask you questions around it? So by all means, ask me. You see, champions are go-getters. Champions never stop. Champions never look at other people as as a threat. Champions are always, always questioning things and deferring to. So if you have the champion mentality, you better know who to choose from the very beginning. It's one of the things I told her. You better know who to choose because not all men can handle, your deploying of your greatness. Not all men. So I chose the one that I felt could handle it. However, there are moments of tension. I always try to deliberately pick quotes that have inspired and motivated me over the years. So I'm going to land on the quotes of Martin Luther King Jr. when he was encouraging his generation. So he said, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets, even as Michelangelo painted, or as Beethoven composed, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that the host of heaven and the host of earth will take a pause and say, here lived a street sweeper that did his job so well. So the host of heaven and of earth should gather to say, here lived you who did your job so well. Here lived a lawyer who did her job so remarkably. Here lived a doctor who helped people in a unique way. Here lived a journalist that journaled well. Here lived a director that truly directed people well. That is my final word.
Oh, very profound. Very, very, very profound. On that note, I'm going to say to you, find your path. Be courageous. Talk about courage. Be courageous enough to travel your journey and then give it your best shot. Because, like she said, the host of heaven and earth are watching to celebrate you and to endorse what you do.
Absolutely.
It's the Made for More show. My name is Maya. Thank you so much for joining us. So we come your way again. Stay with us and remain blessed. Thank you.
Made for more with Maya. Dare to be more.